Hey all, welcome back. Hopefully at this point you've had plenty of time to work on that two-hand movement. Again, when your strong side of your gun hand goes to your gun, your support hand goes to your body, right? Benefits of that, keeping this hand out of danger. And again, this is for new folks out there. I mean, I've trained with some really good shooters in my time. I've been in classes and you know, there are times, and there is the context of a defensive pistol where you may not have the luxury of putting your hand here. You may be shelling up to protect your head because somebody's throwing haymakers or strikes at you. You might have a baby in your hand. You might have something else going on where you're clearing somebody else out of the way to go to gun. But as you're just starting, let's build that safety in there so that we can get you to a place where we start doing some more of that advanced training, right? And the best way to do that is to make sure you're safe, right? So again, both hands move at the same time. My support hand goes to my chest while my gun hand goes to my gun, okay? There it is, right? Nice and simple, nice and smooth. You know, this doesn't have to be a huge muscular thing, right? We just want to have good reps. So when the gun's moving, or my hand's moving to my gun, my support hand's going where it needs to be. And notice how my left hand moves. It's actually sitting on top of my right pec. It's not actually covering my heart. And the reason I'm doing that is because I know once I draw the gun up, that gun is going to come up really high into here, and that's really close for me to, it meets up and puts together my grip, so I have a really strong grip. And it's a matter of efficiency of being able to get that two-handed grip together so I can drive and present the firearm to the threat. Okay, so I'm going to walk through this so you can see what this is going to look like, and I'll coach you through the 4-count gun draw. Okay, so the first part is going to be one of the most important parts, and that is forming your master grip on your pistol. Once you form your master grip on your pistol, effectively, you don't want to break that grip, because this is the grip that you need to have to own and control that gun. Okay, it's going to be, you're setting yourself up for success, not just for the shooting of the gun, but actually setting yourself up well so that when you're drawing your firearm out of the holster, you're making room for your support hand to come in for your two-handed grip. Okay, so what I'm doing is, again, part one of the draw is going to the master grip. So that looks like this. Okay, so if you notice what's happening, my body is already starting to move forward. I'm leaning into towards the threat, because what I'm trying to do is get my knees over my toes, my shoulders over my knees, and that gets me at what we call a tactical lean. So I'm setting myself up, my whole body. It's kind of like if we're getting ready to sprint, right? Good stance, really solid stance is what we want here. So support hand to my chest, hand to my gun. Now when I come down on this, I'm actually taking the webbing of my hand and I'm really finding the back strap of that gun. You'll notice that as I go to gun, my holster will dip because I'm getting a forceful grip on that, because I'm really going to squeeze hard on that. Competitive shooters do it a little bit differently, because they want a good grip, but they're also trying to optimize speed out of the holster, right? For me, while speed is important, I want to make sure I've got a really good grip as high as I possibly can on the back strap of that gun. By the way, you can see firearm is clear. Okay, so we're going to be using a hefty gun for the training. All right, so as we go, step one, hand to the gun, really firm grip, establishing my master grip. As I draw, step two is drawing and clearing the holster. The gun goes forward. You notice that? It's coming out of the holster and immediately presenting downrange. Now this is what I come to as what's called a high pectoral index. So my thumb is actually, I can feel my pectoral muscle, and it's right above my nipple line. And I can feel the base of the magwell right here hitting my rib cage. Okay, so one of the things that this does, and I'm going to turn this towards you so you can see the angle. You notice that it angles the gun, the firearm, out away from me a little bit. And my thumb's here. If I needed to, I can shoot from this position. This is called shooting from retention. And if you notice the angle of this gun going down this direction, right? If I trace this, it's gonna go right to about here in front of me, step back. That's right about center line of my body. So anybody in this range here, if I was going to defend myself, somebody was coming in, swinging with a club, knife, whatever, I can actually go to gun from here and have really effective shots in the lower part of the thoracic cavity, the groin, hips, legs, right? So again, benefit of shooting or going into that position, the principle behind that is, one, setting yourself up to, because you may, if somebody you're here and somebody's closing, you may need to retreat as part of that. to defend your draw so you can actually get to your gun, okay? So coming up to a really high pectoral index, really firmly planting that gun on my body, right? And then from here, if I want to present the gun to the threat, then from here that's where the two hands come together. Notice that I'm flagging my thumb really high, okay? And what that's doing is that's making plenty of room for when my gun comes out, making room for my support hand to come in, okay? Again, I'll show you what this looks like. So 1, gun. 2, clear here. 3, hands coming together. 4, you're driving the gun out, and it's a nice straight line out. So I'm picking up my sights right here. I've already got my sights, okay? I can see it. Now I drive out and I immediately go trigger. I can find the trigger. I'm not necessarily, you don't have to necessarily put tension on the trigger as a new shooter. I don't recommend you do that. Okay, but the point is as I'm driving out, I'm doing that in a very straight line, okay? And setting this hand up here for the number 3 part of the draw, stroke here, right here, 3 hands come together, driving that gun out. Now I can find my trigger, find my sights. If I need to break the shot, I can. Make sense? Okay. So I just went through that 4 steps. Try it, guys. Get your gear on, make sure it's clear. Make sure there's no fire or no live ammunition in the area you're gonna train. After you get done training and practicing this drill, if you have questions, hit me up in the DMs. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Once you finish your dry fire training, and this is kind of part of your dry fire regimen that I recommend that you would build, is again, put your gun down. I shouldn't say again, because I didn't tell you this, right? So one of the things that I practice is, once I finish my dry fire, I put my gun down and walk away for a little while, okay? Make sure it's in a safe space. Walk away, come back to it about 15 minutes later. And the reason I do that is because I've just spent a lot of time doing this and going to my trigger. What I don't want to do is immediately go like this, seat the magazine, drive my gun out, and pull the trigger, okay? And it happens, okay? Be careful with what you're doing, but train hard, get those skills, start building this stuff. Guys, this is a lot of stuff you can do. You don't need to come to the range to do this. And by the time you do make it to the range, you're gonna be a better shooter. Anguiano out. Hit me up if you have any questions in the DM below.